live, and YouTube doesn't like that, to do it kind of on the fly.
Do every one of our meetings need to be streamed, folks? I mean,
they don't need to be streamed.
They don't need to be streamed.
Okay.
Right. Well, I mean, so they have to be streamed. People have to be able to watch it live. That can be enabled by simply joining Zoom. It can also be enabled by streaming it on YouTube. So if we wanted to say we're only sending the Zoom invite to people on the board, and we have the ability to get in and sort of interact that way, and then we send to YouTube, everybody else gets a link to YouTube, we could do that. But then how do you have public comment, right? And that,
I mean, you don't need public comment is kind of the counter argument, but that's a whole different question.
Yeah, although like the more recent FOIA stuff that I've seen says like you have to allow for some kind of interactivity, otherwise it starts to get a little dicey. And so the interactivity can be in the form, I think, of people emailed questions and we're reading those questions. Mm-hmm. But that's like, I think that's this side of the spectrum, and then the other side of full sort of cooperative transparency and involvement is.
I mean, you could also set up a waiting room that way and just punt the public to the waiting room.
Yep. Except
for public comment, and otherwise it's on YouTube. That's
right. Yeah. So
I just don't understand why you can't just publish the link on the various websites, say it's a standing link, and then dispense with recording and streaming. Yeah. Because the public then has the opportunity to attend via the link where you keep them in the waiting room.
Right.
It just seems like double effort. But
a part of the executive order was that you have to let people attend live, which means either have a dial-in or a Zoom link or a YouTube stream, and you have to record the session.
Right. And make either the recording or a transcript available.
That's right. Okay. And transcripts are expensive, and
All right.
people,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So be that as it may. I think we were called to order at 9:07.
I think so.
Thank you, John.
Good. Minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes was made by me and seconded by Chris.
Good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
What, public comment? Yeah. No public comment. Committee member comment?
Only that I think that our first item on the agenda should be revisited to just do these policies about masks so that they can be advanced. So that was not the first item on the agenda. It wasn't even an item on the agenda, but we should review the agenda and have discussion over that policy and get that done.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to make progress on reviewing those policies. I don't know, Chris, do you know if we're allowed to do that for a committee meeting?
I mean, from an FOI perspective, no.
Yeah. So we have to, I think we have to notice for, this is like a special meeting, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can't change the agenda.
My
because it's
apologies.
not a regular meeting. Right. So,
but we can still go through them and then suspend any judgment on them and then come back to them.
Ish. Here's what I could do. I think our first agenda item, and you tell me if this right? Continued discussion on plan for further action on subsequent policies is a sort of standing placeholder for the way we're going to organize and the way that we're, sort of the progress that we're going to make and all of that. I can open up the policies and show you how I'm sort of bringing them in there, and we can sort of talk about what they are as a unit. And I mean, when I say what they are, I mean, like, these are two new policies that usually we would be saving for quarterly review. I think what we're saying is we may want to amend our core principles to say quarterly review, or where needed, more timely review. Exactly.
Okay.
So I think we can talk about them in the context of this is something that we need to review. If we need to do it, I mean, if we feel it's necessary to do another meeting before next Friday so that we have an opportunity to talk about it, we could do that as well.
I mean, and I guess the question is, what is the timeline that we're acting on these? If it is to recommend them to the tri-boards that are meeting on 20th,
right?
Then in theory, the 17th is a sufficient time to do it.
Yes.
Right.
I
don't think the tri-boards are acting any sooner on these policies.
No,
okay.
I don't think so. So I think maybe we just want to move forward with maybe making a change, and I'll share my screen. So we have our policy reboot as a part of our core documents. We've got our preface, meeting governance, etc., enumerated duties, policy committee core principles. So I think here we have, we'll engage in quarterly reviews. Policy committee will engage in quarterly reviews. Second Friday of January, new capable policies. Or as needed, given.
Unless circumstances otherwise require.
Yeah.
Except where exigent circumstances require.
Yeah.
I like that. Exigent, sure. Okay. Okay. I think I've got, good. Okay. Good. Happy with that. So the documents themselves are, I think, the ones that we'll be adding to the agenda for the 17th. At the top of the agenda, and maybe the entirety of our discussion on the 17th will be PS 114.81, and I believe there's an A, B.
That's PS or P6?
P6.
It should be P6. Did I see?
Yeah.
Did I say S? Sorry.
Yeah.
P6 114.81. Emergency and disaster preparedness, emergency suspension of policy during pandemic. And then we have an A, a B, and I believe a C. Yep. And then we also have, and this one has a bit more of a lead in explaining sort of specific to Corona. And this one's more about distance learning. So this one is, right, unexpected, blah, 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 blah. And
a
then
lot of
policy,
that is backstory and not policy.
Yeah, I don't think we would. I think that's right. We may include it in the discussion, but if we enshrine this as policy, I think we're talking about P6 172.61, and we have an A, a B. I think there's.
I think that their practice is that they label pages by ABC, which I don't understand.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so this is a
that
break.
Makes sense now that you say that.
Yeah, but it's different.
That's like a light bulb.
Yeah, but they didn't used to do that, right? Because it was policy option A and policy option B.
When they publish individual policies like this, the page numbers are in parens. When they do the core policy update to the website, they don't include that.
Sweet, great.
Fantastic. I mean, we've looked through that in Reading and been like, I'm looking at policy B. Why is policy B the same as policy C? Oh, it's a page.
Right. Okay.
Of course.
Fantastic.
Oh.
Right. So it's 12 pages, and it's with I think 3 or 4 pages at the beginning, and this is going through staff responsibility, distance. I mean, it's really focused on distance education. Talks about grades. Talks about all these. This is a very meaty topic. And I would argue, I think one of the most, so controversial, and where I think we're going to have the most questions on.
I kind of think that if we're going to discuss it next Friday, not only should we ensure that Tom is available, but Stephanie should probably be available also.
I think that's spot on. Yep. Good. Yeah. Okay. Great.
And the mask policy that I forwarded last night should be in there too.
Right. Yep. Okay. So we'll add that as well. That's right. You forwarded the mask one. Okay. All right. So those 3 we'll talk about next week. We'll get them converted so that we can all make comments. First attempt at conversion, not great. They lose all the formatting and all that stuff. So I'll just make sure that we have those teed up, and then that we're ready to discuss them on the 17th.
Right. And we should probably ask Stephanie and Tom to bring thoughts to the meeting. Because there's some density here that we can't just sort of go through line by line.
Right. Okay. Now, not included in this is the full state document. right? So the full reopening document, if we wanted to look at that as well.
A lot of that is fluff, guys.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really, how they, well.
Yeah, I know.
You could have condensed this entire document into about 4 pages.
Yeah.
Here's the thing you need to do. Good luck.
Yeah. And I've seen notes about, oh, I think that's in that document somewhere. And it's like, that's not a solution to this problem.
Right. And this is not directive. It was all aspirational too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do the best you can, but don't do this.
Right.
Figure it out on your own, which is just.
Yeah. Okay.
We can do that, but that doesn't create any level of uniformity, and it creates a whole lot more chance for dissension. Just
we're gonna have 169 not great plans throughout the state of Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think we could make ours the best not great plan.
See, that's aspirational, and that's outside the principle.
It doesn't belong here. That's aspirational. Okay.
Now remember, this is being recorded.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have, I think we're moving on to the next agenda item. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. All right. So that brings us to our 3000 series. Oh, sorry. 3000 series. And where we left off. Scrolling.
Incidentally, I went back into the 2000s last night because, among other things, I couldn't find the 3000s. But the 2000s, I picked up a few other issues where policies, we had treated something as a policy, but it was a regulation. And I picked up a trick for figuring those out, which is at the bottom of the screen where it says adopted. It says regulation adopted instead of policy adopted.
Okay.
So if we just search for regulation adopted throughout the document, that's an easy way to scrap them, even if the R's and P's got dropped.
Okay. On the topic of not being able to find them, that's not great. So I think I started creating a folder to keep track of, let's see. So I'll show you these docs. Good. Okay, so keeping track of the policy updates collection, right? This is the document that we should be keeping these in. I created a new folder, and I think probably the thing to do is to just share that with you and Tom and Stephanie, and make sure that sort of everyone who needs access to these sort of working documents has them. And then one of the great things you can do with Google Docs is this document. This is actually the one that, here we go. That Sharon converted. I can say move, and I'm not actually moving it. I'm creating a shortcut. So everything I put into this policy committee documents, if I add a shortcut there and then share it, as long as you have access to the underlying document, which I believe you do, then you'll be able to sort of access it all in sort of from one location. So this right here, this is policy committee documents. And if I share this, Gwen too. So now you all have access to those same documents. And even I'm not moving Sharon's documents, I'm simply linking to them. So now
and that just popped up on my shared with me on my drive.
Okay. All right, good. So I'll create shortcuts to the 2000, 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000 series. And then as we get through these things, we're going to consolidate them all into one document, but that will keep it all in that space.
And I'm adding a shortcut to the folder that you shared with me onto my drive homepage so that I never lose it.
Yeah, cool. Good.
Because I was getting lost in sharing copies of things and didn't want to be in the wrong thing. So.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Yep. And I'm also a big fan of this, add to starred, because I only have a couple of starred folders, so then it's really easy to find them in the future. Okay. All right. So do you want to jump into 2000 then? It sounds like you were looking
Yeah,
in
sounds like we
2000.
should go back
Yeah.
to Chris.
Okay. So here we are, aspirational language to be removed.
Resolve.
And I think we've already, so I just want to make sure we actually made that change.
I think so.
Yeah.
Right. This is where it starts now, and there was, 15 pages ahead of it.
That's
before
right.
last week.
Aspirational, this has been done.
Right.
Good. Okay.
Or maybe not.
Yeah, here, no. We agree with this?
Yes.
Sure.
If you could make your screen just a tad bit bigger for the
Oh, sure.
visually challenged like me. Thank you.
Better?
Yes.
And I can make it even larger.
No, that's good. That's
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Otherwise you get
Yeah,
too much of this.
off the page.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I think that the proposal, and I remember us sort of just discussing this, that we would keep this and then remove the rest, but the rest, I'm wondering, is it just this guy or is it?
I don't remember.
Yeah. This also touches on some of the conversations about the unique structure of our.
Yeah. I mean, and then below in governance statements is we recommend all boards and the supers discuss expectations. I mean, that's not just aspirational. That's instructional.
Right.
Right.
Using a trusted facilitator, it might as well say.
Tom talks about this at Region 9 or repeatedly every year, every time a new board member joins, about the between management and governance, about the importance of a retreat, about the lack of funding for same. I mean, you get statements from him that almost are tiered exactly to this language.
So are we, I think when we say the rest of this section, I think we're talking about down, 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 down.
I think we didn't take out those first 16 pages.
Yeah.
I think scroll all the way down and maybe today's the day we hit delete.
Yeah. Very useful, but not for this document. Yep. 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 Yep.
Here's regulation approved.
Yep, I see. Yep, regulation approved. That's good. That makes it easy. Uh-huh. And I think one of the issues here was that we weren't getting the exact policy numbers, and this was maybe an A versus B option.
Maybe.
Okay.
Or regulation that is sub policy, because the regulations are often
right
duplicative in a lot of ways.
Right. Okay.
Yep, I think we said after therefore we would start the whole policy series. So the first 17 and a half pages go.
That's right. Here we go. Whee.
The big moment.
Dun, da, da, da.
7
Music,
months
please.
and waiting. Like you took out 2001 and the title.
Mhm.
Come on. It's just taking a second to react. There we go.
Yes, we all are.
All right. Come on. There we go.
Is that the heading you want though? Because this was under 2001, which had a different heading.
This is so slow. Here it is.
The weather, John.
No, 2001, not 2000.1. All the way on page 17.
Wow.
School governance policy 2016.
Okay, hold on. So wait. So we started right here. Keep this language. So it's from this point down.
No, I think it's the whole. I think once we got to 17, we said kill everything ahead of it, inclusive of what Maureen suggested to keep when we were just at the beginning.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
So first we're going to kill all this, and then we're going to kill the routine. Yep. Good. And then we're going to kill. Then we're going to kill here.
Yep.
Do we want participatory management?
I think that's probably okay. I don't think it detracts. I'm not sure it confuses or not, but that's what it's getting at. Yep. We're all in this together.
Okay. All right, good. Duties assigned within policy. Okay. So we tagged that last time. That's good. Okay, so last time we just didn't delete that first section. So that's good. So we did do this part. So EDT, and we're going to see a bunch of these. EDT. All right, now we're on track. EDT. Good. Okay. Okay, so this is work for us to do. Do we intend to resolve this today, or are we punting on this?
I think we punt until I think we have to look at the preface, and then this becomes a cross-reference back to whatever the preface says.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Glossary of terms. Okay. Yes. It's to Maureen's earlier comment about the orientation speech that Tom may be giving, that we should turn that into an orientation document that can be accompanied by a speech, but at a minimum, we have a Cliff Notes version of the policies and bylaws, which by the way is actually, I mean, it's probably part of your bylaws as well, but it's definitely part of the Easton bylaws that new board members have this orientation experience that is non-existent. Yeah. So.
Always an experience.
Here.
It's called your first budget season.
Right.
Yeah.
The very first ER9 meeting I attended went till 12:20. That was one. That was meeting one. I thought, what trial by fire?
Welcome aboard. Okay, so here's where we stopped last week. Okay, good. Process of determining next review.
Right, we started talking about this.
That's right.
For 2 seconds last week.
That's right. Same procedures we use for develop policy shall be used for development of bylaws. Maybe.
Because here's where are we carving out language that says that regardless of whether the preface says that board shall mean each board or tri-board, in this particular case, each board reserves the right to maintain its own internal governance through its own bylaws, basically,
right,
which are appended here too and only enforceable as against the individual board, basically.
Right. I think that's right. I think that's where we started with our core principles, and I think it would be wise for us to.
Right.
Restate
One
it.
day we might all agree to resolve those differences, but it's a baby
right.
steps process.
I think that's right. It just jumped on me. Okay.
Repeat that language.
Yeah, I want to find
Go back in the recording.
Right.
When there is a need for a new bylaw or modification of an existing bylaw is recognized, the board will consider an effective new or modified bylaw for adoption. The same procedure should be used for development of policy, should be used for development of bylaws.
Not true anymore.
Right.
Take that out.
Or do we want to put this in the preface?
I would say something like, notwithstanding any other provisions of this joint ER9 policy manual. Comma, each individual board maintains exclusive authority over its own internal governance and bylaws. And shall review and approve changes to the bylaws individually.
And replace going to with
Of
notwithstanding any revisions of.
the.
Okay.
And notwithstanding can all be into one word, I'm pretty sure.
That's just silly. That just doesn't look right.
It looks wrong separated.
Seriously. I mean, why don't we just have no spaces anywhere?
Yeah, you want to insult my lawyer words, you can insult my lawyer words.
It's the lawyer word, but withstand, you can't have with and standing.
Yeah.
Not with, yeah.
Herewith?
Withstanding our other
very,
meetings.
Very rarely used even in legal jargon. Herewith, you don't see that.
Good. All right.
Notwithstanding.
Notwithstanding. One word. Okay. All right.
This is an educational experience also.
That's right.
Yeah,
Always be growing. Good. So typo.
Question is always how.
Good. That one's resolved. Corrected typo. This was our typo section. Okay. Yep. Okay. So we're going to leave that.
Or legal guardian. Is that what the issue was here?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that whatever, we should put something up front that says, anytime parent is, it also means legal guardian or whatever, whatever a broader term is. So we're not writing parent or guardian everywhere.
Right.
Good. And I'm just going to tag them as glossary of terms or Game of Thrones, either way.
Depending on how you think about it.
That's right. Duties. I want to remember what we were calling those.
EDT?
Yes, thank you. EDT? I think it was EDT.
Enumerated duties table, something like that?
Yep.
But then I question whether this policy is necessary at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we could actually look at the policy too.
I do think this is necessary. It requires the superintendent to sort of have his or her own mission statement and plan going forward. And you don't want a warm body in there that you can't turn to and say, okay, well, where's your comprehensive plan?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think you'd leave this one in.
Okay. Okay. Good. Serving rather than servicing.
Yes.
Good.
And see, here's the whole thing's a regulation.
That's right. Okay. So does that mean that's
That
going
means
up?
this whole thing goes by the theory of reduction of regulation.
Right.
Not that ethics are not important.
They're super important, but not there. How did we not notice the regulation thing before? That's a great, I mean,
I don't know.
it seems so
Because nobody gives you a sort of master plan to, this is how CABE organizes its document.
Yeah.
This is the thought process behind putting this
Right.
thing here and this thing here. So
Right.
They need a preface.
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
need a
that's a good
preface,
idea.
or they need someone who just says, by the way, when we organize things, this is our thought process. We'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Institutional knowledge that's not transferred. You know?
Yeah. Superintendent of schools will establish and will implement an annual evaluation program for all administration and teachers. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
And then this all more or less tracks statute.
Yep. Ooh. Place with plural objectives.
Yeah.
Yes. Even Google says that. Thank you, Google. Shall provide. Okay.
Yeah.
Duty.
Yep.
Huh. I mean, how many of these things are we doing? Okay.
I don't know how many Tom is doing vis-a-vis. So I think you'd have to ask him that. Do you?
Yeah, I think he's been very he's been very good about yep, and let me get back to you on that one. So
I know he compelled our administrators in the fall to go through an arduous goal setting process and things because we had been sort of riding that as a need. And so we were in the process of making this come more to fruition, I think, than it had before.
Yep.
But then viruses happened. So.
Do we think that some of this, we have the policy, we look at the policy, we say, yep, great. Oh, we identify a responsibility for superintendent or their designee. So we put that into a table, and then we look at that table as a whole document. And we start going through it, and we start saying to, the new superintendent, hey, this. And there might be some kind of recursion in that process that is, where does the statute say we need to do that?
Right. I think the table is going to have 100 duties, and then of those 100 duties, 60 are going to be statutory, and 40 are going to be because a policy says so.
Right.
And those 40 become do we have capacity? Do we need to build capacity, or do we need to remove the obligation?
Exactly. I think that's a really interesting dynamic that'll emerge from this. Just kind of cut out some of the noise and really get back to where's the statutory requirement.
Right. Don't be doing 100 different things. Try to focus on the things that are actually required and then build from there.
Right. And if it's not a statutory requirement, then it must be our priority. It's because we have said it's important to us.
Right. Not because a draft policy said it should be important to us.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. EDT stopping here back in January, stopping here too in January. I think we can close those out. Good. We think this is probably an R, but we can check.
We'll go down to the bottom and see.
Yep. Wow. It's a lot of pages.
R. There it is. See?
Yes. Fantastic. Oh, I see. And you put in a comment. Okay, cool.
Because once I picked up that was a thing, I started looking for it.
Okay. So we're going to
frankly, we can go right through the 3,000 searching for regulation approved : and then delete before we even go through and talk about them. And this appendix goes on for, I think, like 20 pages.
And is this 2,400 appendix is associated with policy though? Yes?
I think it's associated with the regulation you just cut.
Okay, yeah, because I wanted to see, is there a policy 2,400 there is.
Then there's a regulation 2400.
Right. And then there was the appendix. So is the appendix sort of generic and can be applied to the...
I think the appendix
Go with the regs.
is various
Sorry.
steps about how to do evaluations and and I think we said that all goes out.
Okay, good.
We can adopt whatever evaluation structure we need. We don't need to
Yep.
be tied to a policy.
Oh my.
And this goes on.
And on. Makes you feel like you're doing something though when you're cutting all of it.
That's right.
We turned 60 pages into 20 this morning.
Right? The state of Connecticut can take some lessons.
Still. Yeah, I remember this. I
Yes.
remember this saying, this is great, but it doesn't belong in here.
Right. It's nice to have in case we want to refer to a template, but
Right. But we can go back and get this anytime we want by looking at the CABE
Right.
policies.
we don't need to import the CABE logo into our policy book.
That's right. Wow.
I think this might go all the way.
Here
Real
we're
close
at
to the end, but at least
2,500
they're
now.
there.
Yep. So there.
Please hold.
Okay. So we went from 2,400 to 2,500 now. And right. So this one, I think you were researching back in January.
Back in January. Let me flip through my notes back to January. January 17th. January 17th. Review 2,500 and 2,501. List of bills and annual report is what my notes say. Yeah, does the statute require us to maintain a list of bills?
Right.
That's the question. Okay.
Right.
Carrying that forward.
Shall present to regular board meetings. And I think this is also EDT. Okay. Superintendent communication with the board. Okay. All right, that's it for 2000 series. And it's current and we looked through it. Yay, 24 pages. That's not bad.
No.
Okay. Okay. That's fantastic. So takeaways here, I'm going to just do a 7/10/2020 2000 series review complete. And we're going to take EDT and GOT and move and copy to respective documents. Anything else pending in here?
Just that last thing at the bottom,
Right.
the statutory thing that I need to carry forward.
I know. I knew it as I was typing it. Requirements. Okay. Anything else that would keep us from closing out 2000 series?
I don't think so.
Okay. Fantastic. Now we're really on to the 3000 series.
If you could make the screen a little larger again.
Yep. I have to zoom in. It starts at 100% and it looks like 125 is a much better fit. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay. What? That's interesting. Control page up? Huh.
Where are we?
Well,
Different
so
document.
I was just trying to zoom to the top of the document and I held control page up and that changed the tab back to my previous tab.
That's weird.
That's a handy thing to know, and I can do that.
But it didn't do what you wanted it to do.
No, it didn't at all. No, it was a very different operation. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay, so the question of whether or not this was cut off. In order to know that, I think we have to go into the documents to the
CABE Core 3120.
Okay. Where's one? Okay. Okay.
It's missing.
So
and number 5. Wait, what?
I've got 3120 open on the CABE Core policies now.
Okay.
If we wanted to look at it just while we're thinking about it.
Great. Yeah.
Do
you want to steal the screen share?
If you just scroll up to where I said, is something missing? 3120, Board of Education shall review the superintendent's budget at one or more budget meetings and make changes as the majority of the board may desire, period. That's what's missing. That's it.
Easy.
And then all board budget meetings are public meetings, blah, 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 blah. So
that's already there.
Right. So that space is just random. And somebody, I think, must have highlighted may desire and hit ... and enter or something.
Okay.
So there we go. That's clean now. And what's the one where we don't know where number 1 is? Well, I've got it open.
Yep.
3152.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. There's alternate language for regional school districts that starts at 2. Let me, I'm going to steal the screen share from you on this.
Yep, go for it.
All right, so here is the CABE 3152, which talks about the board says public spending, vote of the legislative body. This runs to the statute about setting a referendum. But then, because regional school districts set their own referenda, as opposed to a legislative body setting the referenda, there's alternate language for them.
So it really does start with 2.
Well, it doesn't really start with 2, because 1 is either this one for some or this one for regional school districts. And when this was compiled, the result was, let's just cut all of this and start with 2, which confuses the situation a little bit.
Okay.
So I think what we need to do is look at all of 1 and figure out how we can resolve 1 in a way that covers both regional and local school districts. Or say 1 Easton and Reading only, 1 Region 9 only, as this is an area where it kind of diverges a little bit just because of a different legislative authority.
That works, right?
The latter works.
Yeah, I like that. So 1 Easton Reading, 2 Region 9, or sorry, 1 Easton Reading is kind of like a 1A, 1B is...
Right.
Yep.
1 with respect to Easton and Reading, 2 with respect to Region 9. So what I'm going to do...
You should be able to paste that into that doc.
Yeah, let me go back to that. I'm going to stop the share. Find a new folder. $3,000s. 31.52. Oh, wait a second.
Is it already there?
Yeah.
It's just
when I say where's 1, scroll up.
It's right there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was a literacy problem, not a copying and pasting.
Well, but I think we could just make that more clear. We say almost like a 1A parenthetical Easton Reading School District.
Yeah, I would take out the whole note a municipality in its own legislative body, maybe like clean out all of the kind of instructional stuff from the policy, but keep the here's one for Easton Reading, here's one for Region 9.
Right. Yep. Yep. Does that work?
Yeah. What? Do you want to go back to sharing screen?
Yep. Yeah. I thought.
Now that we're both individually editing.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Good. That's much better. Much easier to understand what the heck's going on here. Okay, good. So check.
Where's one? It's above.
Yep.
Now, where it says any other printed material shall be,
Right.
What is that? That should be inset, I guess, with one for Region 9. That should be part of
Or
that.
does it apply to both?
It just talks about regional board. Because the material being printed in this case is by the regional board, not the legislative authority. Just delete the two numbers and leave it inset there.
There we go.
Lose the space too.
Yeah, I don't know why it's giving me funky spacing there.
There we
Good.
go. That's better.
Yep. Cool.
I mean, there it uses parents/guardians. I mean, it's so inconsistent throughout, but we're not going to solve for all those problems.
Right.
11 to 14 is all regs,
Yep.
which I guess now is 10 to 13.
Do we want to keep the legal reference? The legal reference is usually in relation to the policy, right?
The policy probably has the same references.
Okay. For now, I'm just going to grab that just so I can double check that it does.
Yeah. It's going to run to that 369 statute that everybody dwells on.
Yep.
Yep.
355, 333, 369. There's 369.
It's really the explanatory text is really the key one.
Yep.
That this is tracking.
Okay. I want to make sure. So this is the legal reference from the reg.
Yep.
9333J. But it's not listed here in the policy.
I think because the regulation is in greater detail as to how different things are funded. And I think if you look at 333J, it's talking about the treasurer of a campaign, and the policy doesn't really speak to that.
Okay. Okay. So we're cool to kill the legal reference related to the regulation.
Yep.
Okay. Good. Delayed reaction here. Okay. Appendix. There's a form. Okay. So this is a great idea, but we're not going to do it now, and we can always go back and grab all the forms we want.
And notwithstanding the fact that we have a number of sample MOAs that were floated, I think, to both boards of finance this winter.
Right. Okay.
Time to investigate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this still might be the case. And I think this means highlight on, what do we call that? Pending issues, open issues. I think we're going to call that OID. That sounds like OID. Good.
Office of the Document Inspector.
That's right. Open issues document. Okay.
OID. We're going to get so wrapped up in our own jargon, no one else is going to understand us. It'll be bad. Evil genius.
Was that in the OID? Wait, what are they talking about?
Yeah, Maureen will shorten meetings by 80% by just referring to acronyms.
Right? That's true.
The OID says you can't do that.
Yeah.
No one does. It happens all the time.
Regulation. Okay. Okay. Create specific language based on the unique needs of our districts.
Yeah, this one I recall was a capital M mess with respect to how to make this work.
Okay. Well, we're at the top of our hour here, so we can talk about our next agenda.
Cliffhanger.
Giant punt on this one.
Yep.
I'm just gonna do a quick stopping here on 7:10 to resume not the 17th, but probably the following meeting.
Yes.
24th.
24th,
Yep.
unless we agree to meet sooner for some reason.
Okay, good. I think we don't want to wait until the end of the series necessarily for these OID issues. So I'm gonna just at the top here. Okay. Okay, good. Anything else? Not with 3000 series. So we know we're on 3000 series, leaving off on page 12. We've got next Friday, we're going to drill into these documents, which I will convert to this format so that we can make comments and everything. So
Yep.
I'll do that today.
All right. And John, do you want to take the lead in sending Sharon the agenda items for next week, just so that we make sure that it's all covered and posted?
Yep, I'm sending her the links for the Zoom meetings as well, so she has a copy of those as well. So yeah, good.
Perfect.
Good.
And can you also make sure that Stephanie is asked to come, because that'll be relevant to her.
Right. Yep. Good.
All right. Another fun week.
Public comment? Board member comment?
Motion
Motion
to
to
adjourn.
adjourn?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
In favor. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Adios.
Take care.